I recently got my hands on plant-based ensures, but are they actually good for weight gain? And more importantly, do they taste like garbage? In this video, I'll taste test it. I'll review how it compares to other shakes, homemade and other existing brands. I'll share some hacks to make it better and to make it work for you. And I'll also share a little bit more about my own experiences with weight gain shakes, including these, both the good and the bad. So let's start right there. It was at the time of my eating disorder recovery that I was first introduced to weight gain shakes, like Fortisip, like Ensure, like Fortisip, like all of these other big names that I will no doubt just use interchangeably throughout this video. They're designed to be an easy, high-calorie, nutritional drink used for people who are struggling to get insufficient meals, sufficient calories, who are maybe struggling with illness, who are in recovery. They contain a mix of protein, carbohydrates, fats, and a blend of minerals and vitamins. So they're really meant as a complete meal replacement or shake for people who do struggle to eat, who do struggle to absorb, who are not getting in what they're supposed to, get in terms of their daily energy needs. These drinks, they were a really important part of my recovery journey. I did have a bit of a love-hate relationship with them. They were convenient, they required no prep, I could have them in addition to my meals and snacks, but also they were high calorie, which freaked the eating disorder out. Some of them were pretty damn disgusting, and I found that they could be quite filling and sometimes a little bit sickening in taste. Obviously, depending on the brand, depending on the flavour. Also, at one point, I was having 4 of these every single day, which got a little bit pricey and also got me pretty sick of them. Anyway, as I said, at that time, I did try every single flavour out there on the market, from banana to vanilla to chocolate to coffee to toffee to pineapple to peach to tropical to whatever else was out there. And as I said, there was quite a range in the quality of those flavours, with the prize of worst ever flavours going to neutral and orange, and the best flavours being some of the more tropical flavours, the coffee-like flavours, but especially, I would say, the more basic banana, vanilla and chocolate. Can't really go wrong with them. Anyway, it wasn't until I spoke with a dietitian recently that I found out that they now do plant-based versions since 2021. So of course I had to get my hands on them. I had to try them out. So yeah, let's see how they stack up. Water, maltodextrin, glucose syrup, isomaltulose, pea protein isolate. Produced in the Netherlands. Mocha flavour. I used to collect these caps as well. I had a box literally full of these. It was insane. Oh, it smells nice. It's nice to see also that they don't come with a straw anymore. I'm pretty sure they used to. Mango passion fruit. That sounds amazing. Oh, it smells a bit weird. Mango passion fruit. Here goes nothing. Palate cleanser. Mocha. So the entire bottle of this has got 300 calories and 12 grams of protein, which is not bad. and obviously is enriched with a whole bunch of different vitamins, which of course is not bad. Taste-wise, I was expecting this to be sort of sickly sweet, really thick, really, you know, getting stuck in your throat and at the roof of your mouth, because that's how I remember it. But I'm wondering if maybe that was a different brand, or if my memory doesn't serve me that well, or if their formula has changed. But actually, that's not bad. I especially like the coffee flavour. I could easily just have that every single day and quite enjoy that. Maybe even an extra shot of coffee in there just for a bit of oomph. But it's not too sweet. It is... I do want to drink a lot of water after this. I'm not mad about it. I'm not against this. Compared to other store-bought shakes and protein shakes and nutrition shakes I've had, it's comparable. So yeah, I don't think I have anything too bad to say about this. It's not too sweet, texture is what you'd expect it to be, and taste is pretty spot on. Coffee's my favourite, but the fruity one, again, is decent as well. So yeah, if you're going for a bit of convenience, if you need a few extra calories in your day, they are a really solid option. I think in the UK as well, you can probably get a massive pack at the pharmacy for your usual prescription cost, which I think is like £9 or £10. So buying in bulk is definitely recommended, because otherwise it does add up. But then so does Huel, so does Bowl, so do all of the other brands. If you're not too fussed about convenience, but finances play a bigger role, then of course I do recommend just making your own shakes. It is so easy. You can bulk them out so easily. And while it doesn't quite have that convenience, you can make a pretty big batch and have it for a couple of days. It doesn't go off instantly. And yeah, compared to my go-to peanut butter banana smoothie, or the date and cashew smoothie in my recipe ebook, or the many vanilla banana milkshakes that my dad made me during my recovery, or, you know, any of the other smoothie recipes in my ebook, or snacks in my ebook, or the mass gainers that Tom has made me over the years. This does fall a little bit short, but it's a solid option. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had Ensure or Fresibin or Fortisip or Fortimel, and what your experiences are, what your favourite flavour is, and what favourite alternative you have as well. As for me, that date and cashew smoothie is definitely up there. The banana peanut butter smoothie is up there. And, well, I would probably literally list any of the other snacks in the ebook as well above the Ensure, mainly because they taste a little bit more real, slightly less artificial, but they require more effort too. So on the whole, I would give this a solid 8 out of 10, I'd say. Maybe because I'm not having them all day every day. Flavour, 8.5 out of 10. Drinkability, 7 out of 10. Convenience, 10 out of 10. Fillingness, I'm not sure yet because I haven't finished them yet. Plastic used, fail. If I compare them specifically to Huel, Bowl, Push, or any of the other plant-based shake options out there, personally, I probably would still opt for those other options, simply because they're available at all major supermarkets. For me, that's a little bit more convenient, but also they do feel a little bit more balanced. And I know that's not the most important thing, but I do like that the other shakes have maybe a little bit more protein, a little bit more fiber, less refined, less processed sugars. In addition to that, there's a whole lot more available in terms of plant-based flavours, because from as far as I'm aware, the plant-based flavours in these Ensures are only the coffee, the mango passion fruit, and then your standard vanilla and chocolate. As I said, these are all pretty darn good, so nothing wrong with that. But if we then consider all of the other flavors available in all of the other brands, we can add things like cookies and cream, peanut butter, latte, berries, etc., etc. The sky's the limit. So why limit yourself to just one brand and one shake? If you're on your weight gain journey, why not experiment? Try them all out, because in fact, that's what made this process fun for me, or at least a little bit more fun for me. If I'd told myself, I just need to do this, push through this, I'm just going to have the vanilla shakes every single time, 4 times a day, every day for however many years of my life, yeah, no, I think I would have lost interest a long time ago. If you've been prescribed these shakes, if they're part of your meal plan but you're struggling, there's things you can do. For one, never ever ever have them lukewarm. Ew, gross. Put them in the fridge, maybe even freeze them for a bit of time, or the chocolate works really well warmed up as well. 2, if convenience isn't the biggest factor for you, blend them into other smoothies as a bit of a base. You can also replace your regular soy or other milk as you prepare your oats or your cereal or whatever else in the morning. Just to mix things around, to experiment, to have fun with it. 3, obviously experiment with the actual flavours and find the ones that you do enjoy. And 4, if you do find that they're a bit heavy on your stomach, they're a bit uncomfortable, don't feel like you have to chuck them down in one go. What I did was to sip them throughout the morning, throughout the afternoon, with my meals, etc. For me, that was a way to get them in without feeling like I was getting them in. Just felt a little bit more comfortable for me. And yeah, in that way, I didn't really notice I was having them. It wasn't as filling. On that note, if you're in recovery from an eating disorder, have them with your meals instead of to replace the meals wherever possible. Sure, they are nutritionally complete. They're meant to be meal replacement shakes, but if you can have them in addition to your meal plan, that's going to be more helpful still. It's about adding nutrients. It's about adding density, not replacing the things you're already having. It's a stepping stone. So, I just read an interesting study about ONSs, oral nutrition supplements, that one of my clients sent through to me. It made the important point that a lot of these drinks are very much processed and do contain quite a lot of simple sugars without a whole lot of whole food elements to them and without a lot of fibre. And no, that hasn't made me change my mind on them. I still think they're a great option given the right circumstances. If they're well tolerated and used over a limited time period, they can be a really good tool and a really good stepping stone. But it's also true that if whole foods are an option, then yeah, go for them. They're a solid shout. It's just, they're not always an option. Ensure and other ONSs don't necessarily provide the same gut microbiome diversifying benefits that whole food sources may provide. As mentioned before, they can also be quite filling, and I thought that me feeling a bit nauseous after them, me feeling a bit bloated after them was just a me thing, but the research actually seems to confirm this. People do find these drinks can be quite satiating, can cause some bloat, can cause some discomfort. For these individuals, rather than helping them to increase their overall intake, it might actually push out other sources of energy and of nutrition. And in that case, obviously, they're not really fulfilling their purpose. But this is not the case for everyone, and the research itself is also not super clear cut. It's about finding what works for you and how they feel in your body. If they're helping you increase your overall intake, they're doing a good job. And for me, while they definitely did push out some foods, they still helped me to increase my overall calories and help me to gain weight. So for me, they were still a lifesaver, in spite of any of this research. Because these shakes rapidly ferment in the intestines, contain emulsifiers and are considered FODMAPs, they may lead to some bloating and discomfort. But see how they work for you. It's very individual. While I was probably on them for longer than maybe recommended, they helped me push through a lot of physical and mental stuff. And there was a lot of stuff there. Getting in the calories in whichever way possible in some instances really is more important than exactly where those calories come from. And sure, the makeup of your diet is important, but if you're not getting in enough energy overall, you know what I mean? Some instances in which ensures, Fresibin, Fortimel, etc. may come in handy are eating disorder recovery, where dysphagia or other illnesses may cause difficulty in swallowing or consuming food, where managing microbial risk is more important. So, for example, in hospital settings where they couldn't be making smoothies for everyone, but where ensures are actually a pretty good and convenient option, and where these drinks might be provided free on an NHS prescription, or where other resources or money or time is scarce. I can probably keep listing other scenarios, but take a moment to check in with your scenario and see whether those pros outweigh the cons for you. Or if it's just something you're interested in experimenting with, because there's honestly no harm done. It doesn't need to be black and white. As I said, as for me, overcoming the eating disorder, whichever way, that's the healthiest thing I ever did. The most important thing I ever did for my own well-being. So have some ready. Put them in your purse when you're out and about for a long day, when you don't know when your next meal is going to be exactly, just as a little backup. Have them first thing in the morning as you're preparing your breakfast, before anyone else is awake. Have them right before bed when you feel like you can't eat anything else, but a little drink is still possible for you. And use it as a tool. Some days may be harder. Having a drink may feel a little bit easier, a bit more comfortable, a bit easier to digest and process, mentally and physically. This is how you can make the most out of these products. They're not perfect, but you can make them as good as possible for your circumstances and your needs. So, final thoughts. Would I recommend Ensures? Yes. If you're struggling to gain weight, these might help. If you're struggling to get in enough energy, these might help. If you're feeling ill, nauseous, uncomfortable, these might help. And if you're eligible for free NHS prescriptions, I'm pretty sure you could even get these completely for free. Don't quote me on that, but it's worth looking into. However, if you are paying for them yourself, they may get a little bit pricey. There's a lot of plastic. Not all the flavors are created equally. And as for these specifically, I don't understand over 70% of the ingredients on the back. That's not necessarily a bad thing. There's lots of vitamins added to this, which I probably don't know the words for those, but it's something to bear in mind. There might be other brands better suited to your needs. Anyway, that's not really the point. The point is the added vitamins and the calories, and making that as palatable as possible for people who might not be able to consume their energy in any other way. And these drinks do just that. So very helpful for people with illnesses, very helpful for the elderly, very helpful for me 10, 15 years ago. If getting your energy in from real food sources is an option, by all means go for it. If not, getting the energy in is the most important thing. Whichever way. Honestly, they did get me to where I am now. I could have never recovered without these, so there's definitely a time and place. Anyway, in the comments, let me know. Have you ever tried Ensure? Have you ever tried Fortisip? Have you ever tried any of these brands, and what is your experience with them? Also, while you're down there, make sure to subscribe, because next week I'll be sharing a little bit more about my experiences on this weight gain journey, my homemade shakes, smoothies and milkshakes, and why I did in fact reach out to a dietitian recently. Stay tuned. Cheers.